Well, now it's time for my Week 9 picks of the 2016 NFL season. Last week I went 7-5-1, so not good. Although it's 62.5% win percentage, so that's still pretty good. Overall, even though I had a win record 5 weeks in a row, my win percentage went down. I think it was like 612. Now it's down to 608. So that's unfortunate. And if you're wondering, when it comes to the ties, a tie is considered half a win, half a loss. So if you get 2 ties, that counts as a full win too. So that's how my picks came up as. And here is the playoff bracket now after 8 weeks. So still in the AFC, it's the Patriots and Raiders with the byes. It would be the Chiefs going to the Texans and the Broncos going to the Steelers. In the NFC side, the Cowboys and Vikings still have the byes. It would be the Eagles going to the Seahawks and the Packers going to the Falcons. And my picks still remain the same for Super Bowl. It will be the Patriots beating the Cowboys. So now let's get to the Week 9 picks. We get started with the Thursday night game, and that's the Falcons going to the Buccaneers. Man, that was incredible. The Falcons somehow beat the Packers, because usually that's never the case. And the Buccaneers, ooh, they just blew up opportunity. If they won against the Raiders last week, and somehow the Falcons lost to the Packers, the Buccaneers would have led the NFC South. So even if the Buccaneers do beat the Falcons last week, they're still going to be behind them for the division lead. And I think since the Buccaneers, I don't think they beat them last year, but they've been pretty damn good against the Falcons when they host them the last bunch of years. And I think that will be the case. The Buccaneers will beat the Falcons 30-28. And then we get to the Sunday games, and oh boy, we're going to get started with a big game from where I'm at, and that's the Steelers going to the Ravens. Man, the Ravens have won 3 in a row now. That playoff game 2014 and swept the Steelers last year. That's pretty impressive. And of course, I think Big Ben's still not going to be playing. And we know the Ravens do a lot better job when Big Ben's not playing. And the Steelers have not beaten the Ravens at their place since 2012. Of course, as always, the Ravens can't get their shit right the last year or so. They always keep blowing games that they had shot to win and always having close games. But this is against the Steelers, and they're at home, and they're almost always consistently, even at their worst, they usually do pretty damn good against the Steelers. Matter of fact, their 3 worst seasons in their history, 1996, 2007, 2015, they beat the Steelers both off every time at home. So that's a good sign right there too. And I think even with all their troubles, the Ravens will win 21-17. And it's the Cowboys going to the Browns, first time since 2008. And although the Cowboys are off to a strong start and the Browns are 0-8 for the first time since 1975, you gotta be careful. This could be a trap game. Browns could all of a sudden just go busters on them and destroy the Cowboys in embarrassing fashion, which would be probably a demoralizing loss that might end the season for them if they don't turn it around. But who knows? It's just a feeling I got. But I think overall the Cowboys will win 24-10. It's the Jaguars going to the Chiefs for, I think, the first time since 2010. Well, that's been a long ass time. And of course, Jaguars got blown out last week by the Titans. Didn't they get blown out? Oh, that's right. They got blown out at home by the Raiders. So, man, now they've lost 2 in a row. And they're definitely looking like the overrated fucks we thought we were probably going to be. And the Chiefs, I still don't really trust, but hey, they're 5-2 right now. And look like they're in prime position to possibly clinch a guarantee playoff appearance this year, just like the last year. Man, who would have thought the AFC West would have all 3 teams in the playoffs? Oh boy. And of course, Jaguars are shitty, and the Chiefs are at home, and they play much, much better at home. So the Chiefs would win 31-23, and most of those points would be coming garbage time from the Jaguars. And then it's the Jets going to the Dolphins, and man, I'm probably not a smart idea to make the pick I'm gonna pick. I picked the Dolphins 23-20 because they've been playing a lot better this last couple weeks than the Jets, although they've won 2 in a row. They weren't really impressive victories against the Ravens and Browns. But remember, the Dolphins have not beaten the Jets at home since 2011. The Jets have won 4 in a row at the Dolphins. That's pretty impressive considering the fact that we've seen some pretty terrible Jets teams over these last two of those 4 years. But when they go down to Miami, they somehow do it every time. So although I think the Dolphins would win this time, I wouldn't be surprised if the Jets somehow pulled it off like they've done the last 4 years. And then it's the Lions making their first game against the Vikings before their Thanksgiving game in a couple weeks. And of course, the Texans look like the former selves against the Lions last week. And damn, the Bears fucked the Vikings up on Monday night. That was really impressive for the Bears, although I'm sure someone on YouTube's not too happy about that win, if you know what I'm talking about. But of course, the Vikings are at home. I mean, they are deflated a bit because those 2 losses in a row. But hey, the Lions are not a good team at all, apparently, on the road. Vikings, yeah, they're undefeated still at home. So I think the Vikings will pull it off 31-22. And just like the last bunch of games, I think most of those points for Lions will be in garbage time. And then we get to another possible interesting game. That's the Eagles going to the Giants. The Giants have not beaten the Eagles here since, I believe, 2012. I think the Eagles have won 3 in a row since. And a lot of them were like pretty convincing victories that the Giants like keep blowing like each time. So although and of course the Giants are inconsistent, the Eagles, they've been pretty inconsistent too, but they fought hard in all their games that they lost too at the same time. And I think for the fourth year in a row, the Eagles will beat the Giants 34-31. And who would have thought the NFC least would have every team over 500 right now? That's really impressive. But then we get to the 4 p.m. games, and that's the Panthers going to the Rams for the first time since 2010. And damn, the Panthers looked much, much better last week coaching the Cardinals. And of course, the Rams, they're finally making their first game back after London. And of course, they're being stubborn still. They still won't start Jared Goff. I mean, how many picks does Case Keenum need to throw in a game before they finally make the switch? Does he need to throw 6+ like Fitzpatrick did or something? I mean, for crying out loud, start Goff already. And I bet he will throw that many interceptions too, although that Panthers secondary is not really good anymore. And I think the Panthers will win 31-10. The Saints going to the 49ers for the first time since 2010, and also their first appearance since that divisional game 2011, that wild back and forth game in the end. That was pretty incredible. So Breeze and that offense is doing very good after they struggled a bit at the beginning of the year, but that defense, that was terrible. But then again, they did do a good beating against the Seahawks last week. That was really impressive. And of course, the 49ers right now are officially the worst team in the NFC. Why am I not surprised? Although they do play much better at home, I think it will be close as hell. And I honestly would not be surprised if the 49ers did win it, but I still think the Saints will win it 31-25. They just can't seem to stop Breeze. And it's the Colts going to the Packers for the first time since 2008, and they're finally going to play each other this year since, remember, their Hall of Fame game, they had to be canceled because of the field. And of course, I can't believe the Colts actually blew it against the Chiefs. That was pretty bad. I mean, you had that 38-10 comeback victory in the wild card 3 years ago, and you can't beat the Chiefs again? That's pretty bad. And of course, the Packers, man, that was really bad losing to the Falcons like that. But that's a team you usually beat at their place the last bunch of years, and you can't even do that either. Yeah, these teams are both very disappointing. The Packers especially, man. I predict they would go all the way back to the Super Bowl. I thought last year's disaster was like a one-year thing, full of injuries and shit. But now it looks like the Packers are starting to like regress a bit too. They better get that shit fixed. And nothing better than getting a big victory at home, beating the Colts 34-13. Then it's the Titans going to the Chargers for the first time since 2012, I believe. Man, who would have thought the Titans would be fucking 4-4? And I was a little surprised the Chargers are 3-5 because I didn't think they were good. Their schedule was like kind of tough at the beginning of the year, and they did fought hard against the Broncos, even though they got really outplayed by them. I think Rivers threw like 3 picks or something like that. Didn't look like a Hall of Famer there. And of course, the Titans are pretty good, but they're still not really a good team on the road, and they have been blown out like every single time by the Chargers when they go to them. And I'm sure it's going to be the exact same result this time, as the Chargers will beat them 34-17. It's the Sunday night game, and that's the Broncos going to the Raiders. And oh boy, Derek Carr, 513 yards? Holy fucking shit, that was incredible. They got the most in Raiders history too, I think they said. And what a perfect opportunity for him to shred that terrible Broncos secondary too, and make Aqib Talib look like a moron as he always does. And of course, but then again, the Raiders are pretty not good at home. I think they're 1-2, and they're undefeated still on the road. So ain't that really shitty for probably your last season there? Perhaps it depends on what the Chargers do in LA, and you're gonna not win that many games at home. You need to start being able to win games at home, especially if you somehow win the AFC West, which that would be a big opportunity for him if they beat the Broncos to set them up a game lead over the Broncos and the Chiefs. And of course, we gotta remember though, the Broncos did beat the Raiders pretty good when they went to them last year in a defensive struggle. And I still think this game should have been at the Broncos instead, since that went right down to the wire last year. And of course, like I said, that secondary is terrible. And I'm sure, being at home with the AFC West on the line, that defense will probably do better all of a sudden, and the Raiders would probably win 26-17. And then we get to the Monday night game, and the last bit of joy I'll get before I have to suck it up and vote in the election, and that's the Bills going to the Seahawks. Why the fuck did they decide to make this a Monday night? I never got. I mean, for crying out loud, now the Bills look like they're inflated. I knew that 4-2 start was just smoke and mirrors, and boy, was I spot on. Of course, the Seahawks, that was a pretty bad loss against the Saints, although they played tough in the end. I mean, they allowed the terrible defense to do good against them? That's not really good. Oh, boy. Easily, the Seahawks will win 35-6, although maybe Tyrod Taylor could all of a sudden go nuts on them and avoid LOB and manage to avoid all that pass rush, but I don't think that's going to happen. Man, how much you want to bet he probably won't even make it to 150 yards? Maybe he won't even make it to 100. Maybe even probably fourth quarter will still be under 100. Oh, God, that'd be really bad. But yes, like I said earlier, Seahawks will win 35-6. So those are my picks for Week 9, and we'll see how correct I am since I've had 5 wins records in a row. Hope to continue that for a 6th week. I can't wait for Week 9 tonight, and I can't wait to watch Falcons at Buccaneers.